some meditation, some inspiration. If it's not one of the three, I don't want it. So let's go ahead and start looking at how we can utilize the mentality, how we can utilize the ability. Today we're going to talk a little bit about how to write stuff down. So when I'm looking to write stuff down, I'm ultimately looking not for right this minute. I'm looking for what I'm going to see in the future and how you're able to overcome your own challenges. Now, when you're writing stuff down, you want to write down everything that's going on, everything that's on your mind, every positive, every negative thought that you have. So that way you could go back and revisit it. Now, the wonderful part is that when you write down everything and you're honest with yourself, when you're actually sitting there and you're putting it in front of yourself, and this skill can be used in the profession as well, the business place as well. So when you're putting yourself in a mentality where you're recognizing what is working and what's not working, that's when things start working in your favor. So that's the process of utilizing that tool. It's the ability to sit it down in front of yourself and to start to manifest the things that you want to manifest. And a lot of people neglect themselves of this skill of sitting down and studying. And a lot of times that's the first place in which we have to search for inside is, are we writing stuff down? Are we putting down what's on our mind? And so a lot of times we want to achieve things and we don't know how to. Well, the reason why we don't achieve them is because we don't put them in front of us with a strategy. It's never how much you have, it's how you utilize what you have. And so if you're utilizing your mentality, if you're utilizing your ability to sit down with yourself and to start to study you, it's going to come from your mind. It's going to come from your ability to sit down when you have nothing. And so a lot of us feel like we have to have a lot of things in life, and we forget and we neglect the one thing that matters the most, ourselves. And so we feel like we have to add this one on and add that one on. Now those things might bring us joy. What real joy comes from within. It comes from within your mentality. And so how do you start to get focused to when you are writing stuff down? So when I was working for Chrysler and I was sitting there and I was working through it, I found that if you set down and you set down a schedule. Now, this schedule isn't for you to box yourself in. It's not meant for you to stress over. It's meant for you to start to organize your thought process in a positive way. And so as you start to do that, as you start to give yourself that place where you actually are sitting down with you and you're focusing into what you want to achieve, the challenges that you have will be visited. The things that you want to go through, the people that are going to be there for you and the people that are going to not be there for you are going to start to show up. Now, as that's happening, the universe will start to test you. It will start to ask you the questions that nobody else will. Can you do this? Can you achieve this? Can your mentality go beyond this point? And so it's at that place where writing stuff down becomes important. It's at that place where what you put in front of yourself starts to become manifested. And so as the universe sees you doing this for yourself, as the universe sees you working with it, it will start working with you. And so how do you make it through your challenges? Well, one of the ways that I recognize has to deal with the 110% club. A lot of people want to live 100% God, 10% self. It doesn't work that way. It only works when you've given everything you have, when you're failing and you're succeeding at the same time. And so when your mentality is in that place where you're giving everything that you are, every part of your being, every part of your level of focus, every part of what you are inside, the mentality starts to show up. And then at that point is when things start working. So ask yourself, are you putting those things in front of you that are bringing you to the results, that you are not surprised in the results of your level of focus. So every single day where we ask ourselves that question, are we going to that point? Are we getting down with our challenges to that place where we're utilizing what we have inside? It's not for you to have to search out motivation. It's for you to search out your place of focus, your place of mastery, your place of understanding of your student inside of you. And so each day that we give ourselves that place, and one of those ways to understand is the energy inside of ourselves. Each individual has energy inside of themselves. Each individual is going to have challenges. Each individual is going to have things that they're going to have to work through. And it's no different than me, than you. We all have challenges. It's inside of the mentality to get past our challenges that I'm talking about. I'm talking about the depth where other people aren't willing to go. And so when you're willing to get to that place inside of you, where you hear this message, it's for you. When you hear the message that says to you, continue even when other people would quit. The message that says to you that you can go to the depth where nobody else will go. You can face off against the things that nobody else can face off against. It's going to come down to how focused you are. And what happens? What happens when you're on your own path and there's nobody else on your path? Are you able to find that friend inside of yourself? Are you able to disconnect from that mentality that it takes somebody else to achieve it for you? It's at that point inside of ourselves that we realize that we are a blessing. It's when you realize that your challenges are not greater than you are. It's when you start to get your upper hand on your challenges. It's when they no longer have permission to stop you. It's when you focus to that place where you have that ability inside of yourself where nobody else is willing to go, that the mentality has the place to go beyond your challenges. Those are your challenges. They're for you to be able to dominate. They're there for you to overcome. They're there for your mentality to become positive so that you have the ability to use your level of mastery in the things that you enjoy. And so each day that we sit down with ourselves and we give ourselves time to focus, each day that we put ourselves in a place where our foundation has a purpose, where people are, so how do you get there? How do you get to that place? How does it get to be able to overcome those kind of challenges? How do you get to the place where your mentality has a purpose? And it's inside of you. It's absolutely inside of you to achieve it for you. Each of you are a blessing on the face of the planet in your own way. It's for you to see it. It doesn't matter if somebody else sees it. It doesn't matter if somebody else realizes it for themselves. What matters is that you realize that you are a blessing, that you have a purpose, that you have a path. And that on your journey you are going to have challenges, and to embrace your challenges, to embrace your mentality, to embrace your focus into the place where your challenges don't have the ability to stop you. Are you asking yourself that type of question on a daily basis? Are you getting to the place where what you truly write down, what you put in front of yourself, starts to become manifested? If you're not in that place, focus is a foundation. Focus is a place to start to build yourself. Focus is a place to start to put your challenges in front of you. It gives you the ability to face off against your own challenges. And the challenges that we have are to turn those things positive, to turn those things into the ability that if you have, thank you, that you have a challenge in your day, that when you face off against that challenge and you face off against it with a positive mentality, and in a positive place where Your level of focus has the ability to go beyond. Your level of focus has the ability to focus to that point. And you put yourself in that kind of position where you see the progress even when it doesn't look like it. When you see that kind of progress, when you see that kind of mentality where you start to achieve your dreams, they are yours. They're yours to own. They're yours to manifest. They're yours to put in front of yourself and to set a beacon. You know, if you want to climb a mountain, look at the top. If you focus on your path, put those things in place. Listen to people who are positive. Don't allow the people that are negative to have the place in your life. Don't allow them to take your space. That is your space. That is your ability to go to that point inside of yourself where you are who you are. That is your ability to get to the place inside of you where you give yourself the permission to do what nobody else can. It is inside of you. It's when you are willing to go to that point. And a lot of people will not do that. They will not put themselves in a place where you have that. And it is important for us to see it for ourselves. You know, a lot of us, we find a companion and then we find the solution in our companion instead of ourselves. Why? Why not find a companion who would join you upon your solutions? And it's because we feel like we need something from somebody else. And that became clear when I was sleeping in my van. That became clear when I was becoming my own best friend. That became clear when I was going inside of McDonald's and filling up my bottles with water and doing shakes inside of the car. What really mattered is to enjoy the process, to enjoy the ability to be yourself. And each of us is going to have to get there for ourselves. It is not going to happen unless you want it. It's not going to happen unless you sit down with yourself. A lot of people, they want to speak their mind, and they feel like they can't because they won't, because they didn't put themselves in a position where people that are positive are moving in their direction. See, when you are in the place where you're meant to be, the people start moving your way. They start to see your challenges. They start to want to be with you on your own path. And it's up to you to want that for yourself. You know, sometimes it takes being kicked to the ground. It takes people leaving your path to accept the path you have. It takes the ability for you to see yourself as who you are, to see you as the person that you are inside, to see the blessing that you are to be your best friend. A lot of us sit down and read books. We sit down and we read and we become our friends, and we sit in front of books and we sit there and we put our mind into a place and we tell ourselves that's the story. When do we tell ourselves the story of our own life? When do we put ourselves in the place where the mentality is of that level? The ability inside of ourselves is at that point. It's inside of you that you got to give yourself that place. It's inside of you that you got to give yourself that kind of permission. Because nobody else will do it for you. Nobody else will sit down and say to you, hey, do this for yourself. Get to that place inside of you where you're listening to mentality. You're putting on motivational speakers. You're turning off the news. You're turning off the world that doesn't change yours. Okay? A lot of people are taught change. It's not changing. It's when you choose that things are positive in your life, that the things that are bringing joy to your life, that the things that are negative are moving out of your life, that you're letting people that are meant to be in your life move in your direction, that the universe starts to work. It's at the point where you give yourself the place to grow. It's at the point where you hear this message, and as I watched last month, over 100 people viewed my videos. Yeah, I know these people are viewing these videos. I know they're hearing what I'm saying. And I know it's reaching out to the person who might need it. And that's what it's for. It's for you. It's for you if you're that professional who's fighting to become the best in your profession. It's for you if you're in a place where your companion abandons you. It's in you for you in the place who wants to achieve the top in your being. Who wants to get to the place where you're a positive being in the universe, where your mentality has the ability to bypass your challenges. It's for you. That's what this message is for. And each day, each person who hears this and listens even just for a little bit, connects with the network Motivation, Meditation, Inspiration, Yoga, Facebook, Periscope, Twitter, Instagram, all the different networks, is for you. And I sit in a room by myself every day and I talk about what brought me back together. What actually picked me back up and set me back on ground. And so that you can do it for yourself. So that you can get to that place inside of you where you have what it takes to be who you are on the inside. I hear a lot of motivational speakers, but they don't get to the point. They only talk about their stories. They talk about this little story that puts them in a place where they are on top of a pedestal. It ain't about that. It's about you. It's about your mentality. It's about your ability to get to the place where you want to be. And so each day that we do that for ourselves, each day that we overcome our challenges, each day that you face off against the littlest challenges that you have, it's when you succeed. It's when you sit down with you even when no one else is listening. It's when you sit down with you and 3,000 people are listening or more. It's with that place where you give yourself the time to be who you are, where you start to speak your mind. It's when you start to speak your ability to be you, where you start to write stuff, you start to listen to positivity, you start to read what you want your world to become. At a certain point of energy, a vibration starts to radiate. At a certain point of being, the focus becomes a tool. It's up for you to see that level of focus. It's up for you to see that level of being. It's up for you to become that person inside of who you are. And we all have it. We all have a place of focus inside of ourselves. We just have to be honest with that level of focus. You have to be honest with that person that our level of focus can move out fears. It can move out emotions. It can move the things out of the way that aren't for you so you could be who you are. And you can be who you are. You can be who you are inside. You can be who you are at that level of focus. The mentality becomes a reflection. And as people see you as that reflection, as they see you grinding on your thing, as you are getting your butt kicked at work, you might be doing sales, you might be doing, whatever the profession you are doing everything that you can to get where you want to go. It's with that level of focus that we achieve understanding. It's at that level of focus where the universe starts to become your friend, as Einstein stated. It's at that level of focus where positive and negative forces are like newtons. For each action, there's an equal and opposite. It's at that level of focus to where positivity becomes a daily process. It's at that level of focus where the being inside of you starts to become who you truly are. It's at that level of focus where things no longer work against you and they start working for you. It's at that level of focus where the Most High God starts to work through you. It's at that level of focus where your growth starts to happen. It's at that level of focus where your vibration starts to manifest. It's at that level of focus where what you're writing down becomes possible. It's at that level of focus where what you manifest becomes your being, where what you have going on around you no longer has the ability to stop you. It's at that level of focus where you go to that point where nobody else is willing to go to do the things that nobody else will do, to get to the place where that process makes you a hunter, makes your life worth it, makes you seek out things that are meant for you, makes you go through the things that nobody else can do for you. It's with that level of focus that we introduce focus to the being of oneself. And how does focus work? How do you use the process? With you working on yourself. When you truly speak your mind, when you say, I have been through these challenges, when you face off against that person inside of you, when you get to that place inside of yourself where what you have inside radiates light outwards, that's why they call them hippies, because they're so happy to be themselves. You cannot break somebody down that has already been broken and lifted themselves back up. That I could get an amen for. And so that is why the relation with the Most High God is not 100% God, 10% you. It's 100% you giving everything that you got. Every part of your being, every vibration in your being, every level of focus that you have. And then when you fail, because we are humans and we are not perfect, when you fail and you find the positivity in you being yourself and you get back up after you have been kicked down over and over and over again, at that place where positivity becomes your foundation, where positivity becomes your being, where positivity gives you the ability to overcome your challenges. Let me go ahead and share with you some positivity. Last year, my wife told me she was going to go on an internship. I lost everything to find myself. Inside of that place where I was completely broken, I found the place of positivity. I found the place of one friend. Inside, I found myself sleeping in my van, meditating, washing my clothes by hand, inside a sauna and taking showers at the 24-hour fitness bathroom. I found myself in a place where I focused to the point where I manifested a reflection outwards of focus, where other people saw me as the best meditator across the face of the planet, where people that still speak about me in San Diego because I spent 5 hours without leaving the sauna, because what goes on inside is greater than what goes on the outside. When your mentality gets to that place where your foundation, after you've been broken to the point where you become your best friend, where you start to care about yourself, where you start to believe in who you are on the inside, people start seeking you out. They seek out your mentality. And so that's why I wanted to share that with people. I wanted people to be able to be uplifted if they were in that place. I wanted those people that were going through the challenges that I had to go through by myself. I wanted them to know that they can do it. I wanted the people whose husbands and wives have left them. I wanted the people who have been told that they are small in this world to believe in themselves again. I wanted them to know that a self-knowledge is a reflection, and that what has been taught is absolutely not positive, that there is no such thing as good or bad, that what exists is positive and negative forces in the universe. And when you continue to search after positivity, it's like a hammer hitting a brick wall. It might not go through the first time. It might not go through the second time. It might not go through the third time. But if you continuously stay positive, if you continuously put yourself in a place where you utilize what you have, even when things look like they're failing around you, they will actually start working in your favor. The universe will become your friend. And so, after months of sleeping in that van, after months of putting myself in that place of meditation, I actually ended up coming out here, and people that cared about me actually wanted to have me as a part of their life. I was going to go back. I lived in San Diego, and I was going to go back to San Diego, and I was going to go work for Chrysler. But that was not what I was meant to do. I was meant to come out here and start teaching people about meditation, about motivation, about inspiration. I was meant to sit in front of a screen and to tell that person who doesn't believe in themselves, or whose boyfriend beat them, or husband has cheated on them, that they can care and know themselves to the point where the reflection was love. That it is just a reflection of your own self-care, your own self-knowledge. And so, as I recognized those kinds of positivities, people started seeking me out. First came the person who had stage 4 metastasized cancer. And so, as that person came to me, I started working with them. I started working with the energy inside of them. I started to help them to work through their own challenges. And as that person progressed to the point where they hit the end of their life, I was able to help them to liberate themselves. And I look at every part of this journey, this blessing, as us on our journey. Can we see the positivity? Can we see the blessings that the Most High God made us to be? We try to put it on to somebody else. We try to do it for somebody else. What happens when you are who you are is this world becomes a more beautiful place because you are here. Each of us have a life. We have a purpose. We have a mentality. And it's up for us to be inside of that place. And so that's when I decided to start talking about focus for 30 minutes a day. I started to talking about meditation for 20 minutes a day, or 10 minutes a day. And I started to talk about inspiration, because I wanted those people to see that inside of themselves. I wanted them to know that if I can do it, they can do it too. And so that's when I started to want to put myself in a place to do that. And so that is where it is. You can reach out on all of my networks through motivation, meditation, inspiration.yoga. And so when we give ourselves that kind of permission to be who we are, I asked a lot of people these questions. I drove 14,000 customers in San Diego. I did rideshare for 4.5 years. I sold cars for 2.5 years. I did 3 years of telesales. And as I was driving, I started asking people one simple question: if they loved themselves. So I searched after a part to see if I could start to help people to love themselves. And in return, I found myself. When I realized that I was giving more to people to help them out, I realized I was receiving. And that's when the mantra, the law of riches, became the mantra that I believe in. I believe when I help other people, I receive more in return. And that was tested one day. Yet, motivation _ meditation. I was tested one day. I did 5 hours in a sauna, and then after doing that, my friends started coming in and out, and I went in and out of a sauna for an additional 3 hours. Okay? I got out, I sat in the car. All of my nerves, my whole entire thing ceased. I could have died. And at that moment, I had a choice to live or die. At that place, there's no ambulance that's going to save you. Heat exhaustion is just going to take over and you're going to die. So, what I'm saying is, if you want things in your mentality, get to the place where other people won't go.